Hour 2 of the program brought to you by Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. Check him out at CulliganRegina.com. Only 2 NHL games tonight. San Jose at Winnipeg. Vegas at Los Angeles. We're pleased to welcome in Brien Rea, Dallas Stars TV host. And one thing about Brien, our chats usually take the off-ramp to Zany Town. We never know where it's going with this guy, and I always appreciate his cheerful and smiling countenance. How you doing, Brien?
After an intro like that, how could I not be doing well? And who knows what rabbit hole we're climbing down today, but bring it on. Let's get into it, brother.
It's amazing what comes up. You just never know. Okay, scale of 1 to 10. You are on the Dallas Stars TV broadcast. You're from St. Louis. Scale of 1 to 10. What was your disappointment level of USA losing in overtime to Canada in the final of the Four Nations, if you don't mind me asking?
My disappointment level is probably at 9. First of all, my co-host is a Canadian, and our immediate broadcast following the Four Nations, he was wearing his Canadian sweater. He had the floor. I'm going to have to wear a Team Canada jersey at an upcoming broadcast here because I lost the bet of Canada-US in the championship. So I've got quite a bit of disappointment here, probably 9 out of 10. The reason it's not a full 10 is because at least here in the U.S., what that tournament did for hockey's popularity this season and moving forward into the Stanley Cup playoffs is absolutely sensational. To have 9.5 million Americans watching that game is incredible. None of us could have predicted that down here in the States.
Actually, I'm glad that you went that way. Same thing here in Florida. Everybody was watching it. Everybody's kind of still talking about it, which surprises me a little bit. But let me ask you this. The injuries. Matthew Tkachuk's going to miss some time. Charlie McAvoy, same. Shea Theodore, same. And the football people, of which I'm in that world too, they're like, this is why we don't have a Pro Bowl anymore. I say it's worth it. The injuries will heal, but I'm not necessarily right. How are you on that argument?
You might have just opened the rabbit hole because I agree with you. I think in the cost and benefit analysis, this is just part of hockey. Look, the players want this, and clearly fans wanted to see it again because you had 9.5 million people tune in. I understand owners' complaints. If I'm paying these guys an NHL paycheck, I don't want them coming back to the NHL season hurt from international competition. But the NHL here in the States has always been number 4 out of the 4 major sports. And you just put yourself at the top of the sports news cycle with this event purely on that alone. I think because of how powerful football is, any type of event like this, international competition, etc., it has to be done in season. You can't do it in the summer because the calendar doesn't work. You have the Stanley Cup awarded, you have draft, you have free agency, you have the start of training camp. It just doesn't work. You can't do it in September because you're still stuck in baseball and you are in the heart of college football and NFL season. You're going to get creamed in those ratings. The only place on the calendar this works is in February during your All-Star break or Olympic break next season. So you're partly forced into this just based on the sports landscape in your calendar. But I think the other part of it is this is the only time you can maximize your revenue and viewership eyeballs of it. So whatever injuries occur in February, they're going to bleed over into your NHL season, and it's just the cross to bear. This is life of hockey. This is just part of the uniqueness of the NHL sport.
I think it's worth it. I mean, I get what the football guys are saying for all the reasons you just said. And it's also a great example of how the world's changed because my favorite international tournament was '87 Canada Cup. It was in the summer, but it was a different world then, bro. That was 40 years ago. It's just not the same anymore. Allie writes in from Texarkana, Allie from Texarkana. She says, hey, Brien, just in time. I think I need to wrap the rest of my team in bubble wrap. And she says Sevy was showing out. Okay, so to your team, the Dallas Stars, they're always in the mix, Brien. How they feel? Like we're in the home stretch now, right? That's what I'm hearing. We're in the home stretch now. Are we going with that?
Oh, absolutely. Look, we're 25 games left. It's you're in the final third. You're in the final quarter of the season. As for the bubble wrap, look, Lee and Bishop went down last night with a check to the head. and there's no update on short-term or long-term prognosis. But between Tyler Seguin being out, Miro Heiskanen being out, now Liam Bichsel is out for now. We'll see what happens there. But the Dallas Stars basically went injury-free each of the past 2 seasons. The hockey gods do not let a team go 3 straight years without an injury situation. They don't. They will find you at some point, and they have found the Dallas Stars this season. They're still second in the Central. They're top 5 in the league overall, so they have built themselves a really nice margin of error. We will see what happens with Miro Heiskanen's injury and if he can come back during the regular season. That is how Jim Nill has been operating. He has not put him on LTIR. And then we'll see what the story is with Liam Bichsel in the short term and the long term after his check to the head last night. It's difficult to see your players get injured at such a crucial time. However, they have built themselves up some runway here with what they've done up to this point. And this team needs to be healthy on game 1 of the playoffs. That's where they're at. This is a playoff-focused team in trying to get back to the Final Four in the Stanley Cup Final, not what can they do in the final 25 games. They have to do something with those, but there's a bigger picture for the Dallas Stars and where their health will stand in about a month or so.
Well, trade deadline is March 7th, and I don't know about you. I take a lot of opinions here, and then I have to shower them off after because very rarely do people agree with me. I don't enjoy the fake news at trade deadline. I hate it. This guy could go here. This guy could go there. I read the other day that Mikko Rantanen could be headed to Dallas, and I'm like, what? But the fact that he's even in Colorado, no,
Carolina now.
Martinez could be going to Dallas. Yeah, Carolina. The fact that even happened. Sorry. I can't, but here's my point. I can't keep it all straight. I can't keep it straight, Brian. So we were reading earlier the list of trade bait from TSN. It's not the most tantalizing list. Now, what do you think the Stars are going to do?
Well, first of all, we live in a clickbait society. And the sooner you learn to accept that, I think the easier life will get. And the best way to do clickbait is to insert big name X into random destination Y and let the comment section or the reply section go bananas. It's all feeding an algorithm there. As for the Dallas Stars and the trade deadline, even before Miro Heiskanen went down with an injury, I was always of the mindset, and this is my opinion, I am not putting a name out there, but I was of the opinion they needed to shore up their blue line, preferably a top 4 defenseman. Now, whether you want to go puck mover, right side, left side, those are all semantics that you can battle through. But I thought they needed a top 4 defenseman because you still have not truly replaced the hole that was left behind from Chris Tanev. Knowing Jim Nill's past behavior, he loves his defensive depth. So I don't think he's done adding to this Dallas Stars roster, and I would think he is looking towards the blue line. That is where his focus is. Who could that be? Seth Jones is the sexy name right now that some of those websites like to put out there. I don't know how Dallas's salary cap math can add his salary for another 5 years. The math doesn't add up to me. I'm not saying it can't happen. Anything can happen with a phone call and a decision by 2 GMs. I'm just saying the math doesn't make sense to me. Rasmus Ristolainen's name has been out there from Philly. That math is a little bit easier, but I don't know if that works too well. A name that is intriguing to me, and once again, this is my own opinion. I am not speculating. I am not putting this out there. But a player like Jamie Oleksiak in Seattle, who I think is around that $4 or $4.5 million cap hit, and I think previously in his career, he's played on the left side and the right side. For me, that's the kind of blue liner that offers some flexibility both on the ice and salary cap wise that I think Dallas could do something with because they also have the cost of acquiring the player and they just spent a first-round pick on getting Kyle Granlund. So part of their bank account to go spend at the trade deadline is a little depleted as well. That's the kind of player that I think Dallas would have to look at. I'm not saying it's going to be that specific player, but that's where I look at. I don't look at Seth Jones. I don't look at this top pair.
Did he freeze or did I freeze? Oh, we got to get him back. I'm literally hanging on every word. We got you now. We got you now. You're up.
Oh, did I cut out on you?
You did, but that's good. I knew that you were bringing the plane in. So, see if I got this right. I can see the gossip rag headline now. Stars Brien Rea says Dallas acquiring Jamie Alexiak.
Of course.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just, okay. Let me just to finish that for a second. It was like the last 5 seconds of your word that we didn't get. But the thing with Alexiak, I just saw him in here with Seattle on the weekend. The Stars know him, right? He was an original Stars draft choice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that plays into it? They would know what they're getting in Jamie Alexiak, and if I recall, they think a lot of him. Didn't they lose him in the expansion draft? Nobody wants to lose their guys. That's how he got away, wasn't it?
Yeah. They lost him in the expansion draft, and once again, I was just throwing him out as an example. But I do think if you want to play the matchmaker game, Evgeny Dodonov, when he came in here a couple of years ago, played for Peter DeBoer. Mikhail Granlund came from San Jose. Well, San Jose's assistant GM used to work for the Dallas Stars. Somebody like Jamie Alexiak, who has past history with an organization, I do think if there is some familiarity there in some fashion between coach and player, GM and player, it does help maybe facilitate the comfort level for somebody to acquire a player at some price at the deadline. So we'll see. But my thought is Jim Nill is looking to add to the blue line. He's done that in the past. Defensive depth is important to him. I think if he is going to make a move, that is where it would probably happen.
Okay, lastly, just a comment on that. The last two Stanley Cup winners, Florida, Vegas, very active at the deadline. It does work. It matters. Hey, wasn't that long ago you were doing Texas Rangers baseball? I just want to mention, are you on that scene again? Are you excited for it to fire up? You going to be on doing that again this year or no?
I'm not on the scene again. They've jumped over with us on our Victory Plus channel, so we're happy to have them along. But in doing that, I think they've kind of taken a little more independence on their part and using their own people, which is great. But nonetheless, I was so pumped for everybody I worked with over there when they won that World Series, and I'm excited to watch them this year. They had a down year last year, but you hope Jacob deGrom can get healthy again and be the type of pitcher they expect him to be. I think it could be a really good bounce back for them this season, especially with maybe a team like Houston possibly taking a step back. So I'm pumped, but not until the playoffs are done. I'll turn into baseball mode when the playoffs are done.
Well, it's been a long time since I followed that Dallas sports scene, since my dad was working for the Stars for so long. Do you feel somewhat smothered by Cowboys talk, or is there enough of it with Rangers and Stars to keep you satisfied?
No, the talk has been Luka Doncic going to the Lakers, and that whole implosion. That's what smothered Dallas sports talk for a while. But the beautiful thing is I think the Four Nations, and circling this back to our original topic, kind of reinvigorated the popularity of, this is a Dallas Stars team that's making a run towards a Stanley Cup. So I think this is a market that's going to start jumping on that bandwagon over the next 2 to 3 weeks when they get ready to make their push.
Good to hear. Brien, thanks for the time as always, man. I just appreciate you so much. Good luck down the stretch here. Hopefully we can do it in the playoffs.
There is no topic off limits with you, man. I appreciate it.
No, not at all. Dallas Stars TV host Brien Rea joining us from the Big D. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover in a moment. We're live across Canada on the Game Plus television network and 32 U.S. states, including the great state of Texas. Streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.